7:01 p.m. on Tuesday, April 15, 2025. We'll call the regular City Council meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the invocation given by Dan Zander, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Most gracious God, we thank you for this wonderful location that here in Eastpointe City Hall. We pray for all the city managers and businesses and things like that. We just wanted to keep this meeting going smoothly this time, and the audience here this evening, and we just wanted to do as possible. Easter is coming to you, Lord. Pray for that, and pray for Curly, for his family down in Florida. Pray for him, and pray for our business meetings tonight. All access things in thy name and pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We have two proclamations to start off with. The first one being for Arbor Day. Councilman DeMonico, would you like to read that?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, thank you. City of Eastpointe proclamation for Arbor Day, April 25th, 2025. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Eastpointe, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day, and that all residents are urged to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Proclaim this 15th day of April 2025. And if I could real quick, you can get a tree in front of your house in the easement if you are interested. Let us know. I have done this. Many people in the city have done this. So add some trees around Arbor Day to our community.
All right, thank you. And we have a second proclamation for Workers' Memorial Day. Do you want to read that one too?
Why not? While I'm at it here. City of Eastpointe proclamation for Workers' Memorial Day, April 28th, 2025. Whereas on April 28th, 1971, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, went into effect, promising every worker the right to a safe job. And whereas every year on April 28th, communities and work sites around the world honor friends, family members, and colleagues who've been killed or injured on the job. Whereas the U.S. Department of Labor and the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates that Michiganders have died while on the job at an average rate of 147 people per year over the past decade. And whereas the 2024 National Census of Fatal Occupational Injuries found a worker died every 99 minutes from a work-related injury, whereas it's appropriate to honor the memory of the courageous and dedicated members of Michigan's labor force who've been injured or disabled or have died as a result of workplace accidents, and whereas we remember those who've died in workplace catastrophes, suffered occupational-related diseases, or have been injured due to dangerous conditions, whereas recognition of the integrity of Michigan's workforce and its achievements on behalf of the economic growth of our state is necessary, Whereas the City of Eastpointe wishes to pay tribute to the workers who've died or been injured or disabled in workplace accidents, we honor the contributions of Michigan's workforce and call for increased workplace safety. Whereas the City of Eastpointe renews our efforts to seek stronger workplace safety and health protections, and we rededicate ourselves to improving safety and health in every city workplace. Now, therefore, we, the City Council for the City of Eastpointe, hereby proclaim April 28th, 2025, Workers' Memorial Day in the City of Eastpointe, Michigan, and urge all citizens to recognize and honor the contributions of Michigan's workforce and call for increased workplace safety standards. Proclaim this 15th day of April 2025, and just I hope everyone in the audience keeps former City of Eastpointe employee Brian Theobald in your thoughts. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Curley is absent. Councilmember DeMonico?
Here.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Here.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Here.
All right, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
All right, and we'll move on to the first hearing of the public. The first hearing of the public is open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
This is me. Mayor and Council. My name is Wendy Richardson, and I am with the Michigan Military Museum here in Eastpointe. And I am here, I'm happy to be here to support Al and his organization to renovate the tennis courts behind our museum. This year is actually the 70th anniversary of the building on Stevens. The tennis courts are just one of the many chapters in the building's history. The museum is also planning a celebration later this fall, and I would like to ask for everyone's help. We want to collect your memories of times when you were in the building, whether it may have been skating in the rink or dancing at the teen center, getting help from the youth social services in the basement, attending a program in recreation or the senior center, playing tennis, of course, or working in the temporary city hall. We would love to make copies of your photos, including the information on the 2 additions. So there's 2 additions to the museum, and I can't figure out where one ends. Anyways, I digress. I have a lot of rabbit holes. But there's also discrepancy in the square footage as well. So I'm just, never mind. We're also working on a presentation about the journey, and it is a really crazy story. And if somebody has the picture details of the slag that was moved from Gratiot over to the building in the 1950s, sorry, another rabbit hole. Stop by. We are open on Saturdays from 10 to 5 and Sundays 10 to 4. Just not this Sunday, it's a holiday. And this is a good reminder to everyone that the Eastpointe gets free admission to our museum. So come on down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I should pause and ask, Ms. Hellman, we had someone who needed to appear virtually. Is that set up to go?
You hear what she said?
I don't know if she wanted me
She
to.
said they're working on audio. I think she wants you to just keep.
Oh, okay. Would anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Oh. Do you have?
Someone,
I believe we have some cordless microphones. Do we have a cordless microphone that we could use? Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking over there.
My name is Dawn Hammondry, and I am a Eastpointe resident on Forest. I'm here to tell you it's not very easy to get around this city if you're not a driver, especially with the construction, especially on 9 Mile. I realize construction is necessary to improve the the roads. Thank you. But it can be better handled. Specifically, the bus stops on eastbound 9 Mile. There's one, I think it's at Donald by the city senior apartments. The rider has to wait practically in the road. I can't physically get to that stop, but even a walker, a pedestrian would have trouble. Also on Gratiot, I realize that's not a city project, but if someone here can tell someone at MDOT not to block the sidewalk with their pipes, that would be great. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare this statement enough, but just keep in mind all of your residents, not just the drivers, please.
Thank you. All right, and anyone else wish to be heard? We do.
If the person commenting virtually is ready, I would like a moment more to prepare.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can speak now.
Thank you.
Mayor, the gentleman is experiencing some audio issues, so if we could perhaps just move on with the agenda, and then once they figure that out, if we could just come back to this individual.
Okay. Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Stephen Hammontree. I'm also a resident of Eastpointe that does not own a car. It's starting to feel like this city does not care about non-driving residents with how this construction is being handled. Neither me nor my mom, who just spoke, is able to drive for either physical or psychological reasons. And so we have to use sidewalks, bus stops, and in my case, minor roads for biking to get around. But the sidewalks are completely torn up. The bus stops range from inaccessible to non-existent, and even the few places one can cross the major roads safely are getting torn apart. Mom just mentioned the bus stop at 9 Mile and Donald. There is just a pit where half the road used to be. Where businesses are getting gravel driveways and some of the side streets are as well, the bus stop is just left as an open pit. There isn't a wheelchair accessible bus stop on eastbound 9 Mile anywhere within a mile of Gratiot. To the west, because they're just not built accessibly until you get to Shoppers Market in Warren. To the east, all the way to Wilmot, that's the construction zone. On Gratiot, it's even worse. There's no bus stop accessible between 9 and 10 Mile at all, except that they've decided to keep the stops at 9 and 10 Mile open, even though it's basically just dirt. I'm not calling for an end to the construction either. Like my mom, I realize it's necessary to fix the infrastructure, fix the roads, the pipes. But I want the construction to accommodate non-driving traffic so that I can safely get around, get groceries, get to work, all the stuff I need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. First of all, thank you, Ms. Doom, for explaining everything about the court, the meetings that you had, and that in a way that everybody can understand. And I want to thank the police and fire chief for their input on what they need to keep our city safe and protected. And hopefully, going forward with the plans, we will figure out a way to accommodate everything they need, whether it's 76 parking spaces or 176 parking spaces, whether it's a, gun range. I think the cost of it, the costs for things that go toward public safety are most important in a city. That's my feeling. I'm not sure if other people agree with me, but I think there we can afford to spend a little more to make sure that it's done right to protect our city. The only other thing I wanted to speak on right now on the agenda, you're talking about moving a sanitary sewer on 9 Mile for the Sheets project. Right now, the sanitary sewer, I guess, is in the front of the property on 9 Mile. It comes out onto Beaconsfield, right across from the Speedway driveway. And maybe I'm not looking at these plans correctly, I'm not an engineer, but it looks like they want to move the sanitary sewer to around the back of the property, which would put it, 20 to 30 feet away from residents' backyards. And then it would come out onto Beaconsfield in a portion that's directly across from the Babcock condos there. I'm just curious, and maybe Mr. Palucci can speak on this, if this would cause any potential issues or problems for residents with the sewer being closer to them than where it is now, and will it cause any problems for the other businesses that share that parking lot? I'm assuming that things are going to have to be torn up, and if pipes have to be put alongside of where Office Depot is now, which is also next to the Dollar Tree, is that going to be disruptive to other businesses? And any potential issues with residents where possibly flooding in their backyards, if there were a problem with the sewers being so close to them. I feel that the residents on Holbrook and Beaconsfield got a little shafted with this Sheets project, and
You have 30
I'm
seconds.
not a fan of Sheets today. I was at Victory Inn yesterday for their last day, an 80-year-old restaurant that is being demolished to make way for another Sheets. So I'm not very confident that they're always looking out for the interests of the residents in the city. So again, if you could maybe address that moving of the sewer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else wish to be heard?
John Solera, Kelly Road. Mr. Delmonico, I didn't get an answer from you in the last meeting. Maybe it was inappropriate to address it in a court meeting. I'd like to know. And you can use your time at the end of the meeting to let the Eastpointe residents know whether you got paid for attending that Trump derangement syndrome event you did. Ms. Doom, I would not be in a hurry to build that building. I understand the court needs it, but there's no sense that materials are going to get more expensive, and more importantly, interest rates may come down. Getting caught into a floating bonds at the wrong time at the wrong interest rate, the bonds would probably cost as much as the building, the interest. So all this talk also about needing space. I'd like to remind the council that there is an empty lot called the Eastpointe Community Garden that this council rented out to the political friends of the mayor and Mr. Delmonico. That'd make a great parking lot. It'd make a great place to put a shooting range for the police. So maybe you ought to call in that lease and save the city a couple $1 million. That's a great lot. It's not got a building on it. It's a vacant lot. So that's all I have for now. And I would like to know, Mr. Delmonico, if Eastpointe paid for your visit to that event.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Karen Morajan, Eastpointe resident. Well, the dictator got his way, and the GOP completely betrayed the Armenian genocide survivors and confirmed that bastard Turk Armenian genocide denier Mehmet Oz to head Medicaid and Medicare. My grandmother was a survivor of the Armenian genocide. We can never, ever, ever forget the 1.5 million Armenians out of 2 million Armenians brutally massacred by the Turkish Ottoman Empire from 1915 to 1923. My grandmother was 10. I lost her in 2004. I will never, for the rest of my life, let anyone forget about the Armenian genocide. April 24th is the 110th anniversary commemorating the Armenian genocide. And shifting gears, I'd like to applaud the effort of Eastpointe in considering non-lethal measures in dealing with the rat problem. However, I really do have to caution about the live traps. You know, at first blush, they certainly do appear to be humane. They're not supposed to kill the animals, but unfortunately, there have been unintended consequences. It is absolutely heartbreaking when some wildlife animals are caught in the live trap that is just strictly meant to release them somewhere else in a safe manner. Not all animals remain calm. Some of them completely freak out. They injure themselves. There's bloody gashes in their forehead. They have bloody paws. They've died in these traps. What I encourage the city to do is to see if there's any possibility of getting a grant for the rat birth control. I believe it's called ContraPest.
You have 30 seconds.
I wholeheartedly support that. I think that would be the best thing that we can do. That way, you know, no wildlife are killed, the babies aren't orphaned. And then the very last thing, it has nothing to do with the silly ass, you know, tariffs. Please boycott Canadian seafood because they're starting the baby sealed pup slaughter all over again. That is the only reason I'm asking people to boycott Canadian seafood.
Thank
Again,
you.
it doesn't have anything to do with
Thank
these
you.
dumbass tariffs. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alexander Montague. I'm citizen of Eastpointe from 2010. January started leaking something in my house. Thermostat broke. I'm not here working outside of the city or the state. Come back, I have $2,000 bill for water. I spoke with people in water department. They can tell me I'm losing 1.2 gallons water per hour. but they see 10,000s of gallons disappearing every day. Nobody react. Nobody knows where is going that water in a residential house. Tens of thousands of gallons. My bill is $2,000. I already have prepaid something to don't be late someday for payment, because I'm not every month here working outside from the city in Michigan. My question is, by paying the bill, I have left over $1,500. They give me fine $75 for this because I'm late. And nobody reacts to stop or call me or ask me where is that water go? Why I'm doing with this water? My question is, can you reduce that bill? Stop giving me fines. $2,000 bill for water is unbelievable. My house is shit right now. I have to spend maybe $30,000 for repair. On top of this, bill for water and fines because I'm late. That's my question. Can you do something? I sent email to everybody from you for either explain in better way how it's going. Please help me. I don't make so much money. Can't do it.
So we can't, we're not in a position to answer during this hearing, but if you could leave your contact information with Darren over in the corner there, and we can follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? And Ms. Holman, do we have that not working? Okay. All right. Well, seeing no one, the hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. Item A, regular meeting minutes from March 25th, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, I had sent in just one change to the minutes. Yourself was in the yays and nays for one of the items. I guess if I can just motion to approve those minutes where we fix the vote that has you under the yays and nays, I'll make that motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
All right. Item B, regular meeting minutes from April 1st, 2025.
And I'll motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of April 1st, 2025.
Support.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
All right, we have no scheduled hearings. Move on to unfinished business. Approval of resolution number 25-2001, authorizing credit card acceptance. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I'll motion we approve resolution 25-2001 to accept credit card payments.
Second.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. And we'll move right into reports from administration. We will start with Ms. Doom, City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got some great news from 9 Mile, from all that construction that's aggravating everyone. If weather holds, 9 Mile paving, excuse me, will take place on April 23rd, 4th, and 25th. If any of you drive down 9 Mile like I do each day, you'll see they're really hustling. I couldn't be more impressed with a company that's moving as quickly as they are. So we're very hopeful that that portion will be paved, and then, of course, they'll start on the other side. So also on 9 Mile, old streetlights are currently being removed, and new ones will go up after the road is paved. So they're hustling. They want to get that job finished. They want to get that road ready for you to travel on again. So we're really pleased with that. I also want to share with all of you that our Economic Development Department is having a small business resource fair. It will be here at City Hall on the 30th of April from 10 to 2. We invite all businesses, especially those who are impacted on 9 Mile and in Gratiot Road, but really all businesses are welcome. And we do have a sponsor that for the first 100 folks that come to learn how we can help you and help your businesses, our sponsor will provide lunch. So just wanted to share that with you. And then I'm just going to start with a quick introduction on this, but I won't say too much. I'm going to start telling you that Consumers Energy Foundation, it gives a $500,000 grant for 2025 Planet Award winners. And they, Consumers Energy picked 3 communities to win this award. The first one is Eastpointe, second one is the city of Parchment, and the third one is Michigan State University. But before I go on any further, we have the young lady who is responsible for this grant, and I'd like her to come up to the podium and share with all of us how she was able to acquire this grant on behalf of the city of Eastpointe. If you would, Rui.
Hello, I'm Rui, the Sustainability Fellow with the City of Eastpointe. I was able to acquire this grant because of the Consumers Energy Foundation. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. Using a project that was kind of developed last year by former fellow John Krause. I kind of based our application on his application, and essentially the project that the grant will fund is a series of bioretention cells along 9 Mile. We completed a rain garden last year on 9 Mile, so there will be many more of those, and it will hopefully also fund a community tree nursery and further tree planting initiatives.
Do you want to tell them how much?
$250,000.
Yep. Thank you very much.
If I may, just a little bit more, she's being quite modest. Of that 500,000, as she just explained, she and another fellow, she's not an employee, she's a fellow, going to school and doing the best she can, and this is quite a feather in her cap and our cap. But we received a $250,000 grant, the city of Parchment, $150,000, and Michigan State University, $100,000. So we were awarded half of that annual grant, which is just absolutely amazing. So she's being too modest. So I just want to share with all of you how important this is and how much she's going to be able to accomplish with those funds. So congratulations, Rui, we're very proud. And that is my report tonight. Thank you.
All right, and I see Mr. Blum's not here. Do we have a financial report?
No report today, thank you.
Okay. We'll move on to our city attorney's report, Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Ms. Waldhauer is still working with the gentleman to try to Zoom in for audience participation. Gentleman is having some audio problems on his end, and so I suggested that he sign on using a different device, so they're trying to work through that right now. I've also circulated several emails in the last 24 hours. I'm happy to discuss those or answer any questions that any of the council members may have.
I'll just comment first. So the audience members here are aware we had an individual who medically could not make it, so we were making accommodations for him to appear, or trying to, so.
We're working on it.
Thank you.
I did offer to, because I have his phone number, I was speaking to him on the phone, I did offer to just take my phone up to the microphone, and then he could just speak over the phone, and that way he would be able to participate. But he would prefer to appear via Zoom, but again, he doesn't currently have any audio, so we're trying to work through that right now.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Albright?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move into new business, approval to vacate the current utility easement and establish a new utility easement at 19001 9 Mile Road. Would anyone like to open this up?
Sure, I guess real quick before we do a motion, I did have a similar question to Ms. Nicholas at the hearing of the public. I was wondering why we needed to do this. I think that was not think that was addressed in the, the letter here. I was curious.
Yeah, I don't think we have,
Oh, is he not here anymore?
If I may,
Can't see people over here.
yeah, that's a question for our engineer. But my understanding is that right now, where the building would be located, that the easement can't run under the building, so it would be moved to the back. I don't believe that impacts anybody else, but again, I would have to leave that to Mr. Kern.
I think it had something to do with the placement of the underground fuel tanks as well.
that was my understanding just from reading the background information.
And all these plans were approved through Eagle.
All right, well, do you have any other, I guess, comments on that, Councilman DeMonico?
Nope.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure. A motion, we vacate the current utility easement at 19001 9 Mile Road and establish a new utility easement for the rerouted sanitary sewer.
Is there support?
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Pistonik?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. Item B, discussion on proposal from Parks Commission for Shakespeare Tennis Courts. Yeah. Mr. Sazak, if you'd like to come up.
Good evening, Mayor Kleinfeld, council members, audience. Gary Sassig, Eastpointe Parks Commission. On February 26th and the March 12th meeting of the Parks Commission, we had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Truhan and some of his members. And they expressed concerns about the tennis courts. And they had a presentation. They're going to do their presentation tonight. It's a short one, and then I've got some comments afterwards.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank you for inviting us to talk about this project. My name is Al Truhan, and my team here is Diana Hickman and, hands up, Andy Hickman. There, Andy. Andy, not everybody. Here's Andy. We also have the USTA Midwest Sectional Representative here, Susan Somerville Courtwright, and Wendy from the museum, which she spoke earlier, and surprisingly well-behaved tennis players, which are part of my group here. Today, we are representing the USTA Advocacy Group, which is promoting the growth of the sport of tennis. In the next 6 minutes, I will cover these topics, and I'd appreciate it if all questions could be held until the end. So, why are we here? Our goal is to seek funding to refurbish the 7 courts located on Stevens Road behind the Michigan Military Technical and Historical Museum. This is in conjunction with a generous grant from the United States Tennis Association. Here's a few benefits of tennis. Tennis is a sport that can be played by all ages, anywhere from 5 to 95. It helps both physical and mental health. The social interactions promote longevity, and by playing only 3 hours per week, your risk of heart disease is reduced by 56%. And compared to other sports, tennis players have the lowest incidence of cardiovascular disease. This is an aerial view of the tennis courts, the practice wall, and the strip of grass on the south side of the tennis courts from March of 2020. The courts were in terrible shape and not being used by anybody. The weeds in the grass were growing through the cracks, the court lines were barely visible, and the practice wall was completely covered in graffiti. Our group of 20 or so volunteers started to work on the courts. We did not use any pesticides or chemicals. This is Christine using her weed dragon to eliminate some of the grass and weeds. We also pulled them up by hand. This shows, we don't have a video, but to get into the cracks that we dealt with, we cleared out all of the dirt from inside the cracks, then we filled it with a foam backer system, and then we put tar on it and smoothed them over. A little bit later on, instead of the foam backer, we used sand and tarring. After washing, we started painting the lines. Here's some pictures of the volunteers hard at work. Got those up there? And the city came in and repainted the graffiti-covered wall. They also replaced the broken nets and the broken net posts for us. We are very grateful for their support. And I enlisted my granddaughter to touch up some of the wall lines. I'd like to tell you a little bit how the courts are being used. I have been running tennis drills for the last 8 years. 4 of them have been at this location. These are totally free for anybody that's interested, regardless of their ability or experience. Even though the drills are free, I do accept donations from the participants, which go to the support of the museum. So far, we've donated just over $700 to date. Please note the benefits for the school tennis team players and the youth. This year, Harper Woods High School is utilizing these courts as their home courts. I was able to meet their coach and their girls tennis team and had some of their players join in with my drills last week. I am also hopeful that the Eastpointe High School will resurrect their teams and reclaim these courts as their own. The senior men's group that I belong to also used 3 of the courts 3 times a week for the last 2 years. To celebrate the completion of the work on these courts, we hosted a doubles tournament in September of 2023. We filled the courts with 28 entrants, presented trophies, had a fastest serve contest, as well as a shot accuracy competition. And fun was had by all. We held our 2nd annual military museum tournament in 2024, and once again filled all 7 courts to the maximum. With donations of prizes from the museum and funds from the USTA, we put on a very successful event, which also included food and raffles. And again, fun was had by all. And more events, more USTA events are planned for this year. The courts are usable, but just barely. They're in need of a complete restoration. There are depressions and ripples in the surfaces, not to mention all the cracks. So far, I've received a quote from a paving company named ASI, who is working with a sport surface company named Goddard. These are both local companies. They have supplied us with this estimate. I'm awaiting a second quote from a Toledo company called Courtsmith, and I should have that any day now. If approved, the USTA could offer a grant of up to 50% of the total, or a maximum of $20,000 per court. With there being 7 courts, that would bring it to a maximum of $140,000 towards this project. There are 2 other minor issues with the tennis complex. The need for either a repair or a replacement of the inoperative lighting system, and this is being looked at by the Eastpointe City's Department of Public Works. Also, the purchase and installation of windscreens along the fence line, which is estimated to cost $1,500. Once again, this is the courts from 2020. And this is what this is what the future could bring. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Probably some.
Anyone have any questions?
I know, just this is great presentation for sure, and I appreciate you coming forward with an opportunity to get grant funding and improve the tennis courts in the city, for sure.
Sure, go ahead.
This is Susan from the USTA.
I just wanted to add that this is a really good year if you're considering this project. It's a historic increase in funding this year. The U.S. Open funds a lot of the grassroots efforts that people like Al are doing, and we recognize across the country that the infrastructure is wearing on our tennis courts. So this year, the USTA is offering $10 million to help court infrastructure. Last year, I think the number was like 1.5 million, so there's a huge push. So if this is a project that your town is considering, we don't know what the money's going to be from year to year, but this year there's 10.1 million, and with yours being a public facility, you would have a extremely, as long as Al follows the steps very diligently, which his team has proved to do, you would have great success in getting support from the USTA. So this is a very worthwhile project. So I highly encourage, you never know how many players you have until you have these beautiful courts and programs to play on. So thank you.
Thank you.
So as you can see, this is a very dedicated group. The Parks Commission was impressed with their presentation, and we also were made aware that in order to get help, it would be much more beneficial if the courts and the green space behind it had a name. So we looked at a bunch of different options, and the recommendation we sent to council is to call it the Jerry Lindinger Tennis Courts and Green Space, hopefully Park. And our rationale for that was that Jerry Lindinger attended East Detroit Public Schools, has numerous degrees, an astronaut, so it all ties in. He was also on the high school tennis team. So it ties in with the tennis courts, it ties in with the military museum, and we're hoping that you will consider naming them, and we can hopefully get grants. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I guess, what is administration looking for anything from us specific tonight?
No, that's totally up to you. There has been some emails going back and forth about the need when we go over a certain amount that we have to go out for requests for proposal. That, it's great to get quotes, and we can certainly do that when they're a lower amount under 15,000, but anything over 15,000, it has to be approved, and then you have to go out for a request for proposal from whatever companies bid on it, what may. And that's the process that we have to follow. Just something to keep in mind.
I think I had one question just about the sample quote, because we got one and it was $398,000. Was that including removal of the fences and then?
It was not. They asked that the fences be removed. The posts can stay. The fences need to be removed for them to get their heavy equipment in there. And the city said that they could take care of that.
Oh, okay.
Removal of the fence and putting them back up too.
Okay, yeah, that was my question, because I think replacing that kind of fence would be expensive.
And that was a requirement of this particular company. So others, I don't know if they're going to do it themselves, if they require it. Who knows? We need a few of them to really compare one to another.
Okay. All right. Any comments from council?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, I think we should go forward with the renaming of the, I guess I'll call it space at this point, because we've got 8 city parks, but it doesn't include this area right now. Well, at least I know speaking of the museum, Chris Causley had reached out and showed me a map where it was denoted as a park at one point, and I think it has fallen off of our map. But I guess, long story short, I think it'd be good if we did name it Jerry Lininger Tennis Courts and Park. I think that's a great thing the commission went through, naming something. Seems like it's straightforward, but I think lots of people have opinions on those sort of things. So I'm happy that the Parks Commission, and thank you, Al, too, for all the tennis players. I think you all submitted names, or I shouldn't say, I think you all did. I looked at the list. I did look at the list of all of the names you all submitted. Sorry, I guess we went with another name maybe, but I thought that was pretty cool. I think we should go forward with naming that, and then I guess, I don't know if city administration knows, or I think we should go forward with making it official city park. I actually don't know what we need to do that, because obviously it's been a very long time since we've done that in the city. So I don't know if I guess I'd motion that we name that area, the Jerry Lininger Tennis Courts and Park, ask city administration to look into making it an official park, and then also look during our budget sessions, which are obviously coming up very quickly here, at putting in for this grant with the U.S. Tennis Association and trying to integrate that into the budget.
Support.
Okay, I did
That's
have
a
one
lot,
question.
one motion.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
Well, I was kind of along the same lines as Councilman DeMonico was saying. Are we able to do that, to name it and then to name it as a park, or is there, because, I don't want to do it if we can't do it, or, but, I was in the parks meeting when we talked about it, so I knew it was coming, but I just didn't know what that protocol was to actually make it a park, or is there something more that we have to do before we can actually call it that? And I don't know who can answer that question.
Yep, I'm not sure. I think we can name it at least, and then see if there's a process to designate it as park for grant purposes. But, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask Mr. Albright if you had any idea of how are we able to name that as a park, would you know, or? I guess if not, we can
I
still
don't see
keep
any
the
problem
name.
with
and
that.
Pardon me?
I don't see any problem with doing that.
Okay, I guess if we find out that there's more that we have to do, then I guess we take those appropriate steps. I guess moving forward. Okay, that was my only question.
I think that they were mentioning that if it was named as a park, that it would be beneficial for grant purposes too, for the application. So, it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, I was just like, is there any other hurdles before it actually can officially be? That was really my question. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other comments? All right, did you guys get that full motion?
We will.
Administration, any questions? All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to item C, approval of contract for food compost pilot program with My Green Michigan.
I would move that we
What?
approve the.
Mr., if I may?
Oops, okay.
We have our My Healthy Climate Corps fellow, Rui Zerbel, here. She wanted to explain a little bit.
Okay,
If I may, she's
I'll withhold.
got to make some presentations.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry, Rui, I didn't.
No worries. Hello again. Very excited to present this program to you that I've been working on. You may not know that composting is a sustainable practice with many benefits, some of which are outlined here. But not all households that may be interested in composting their food waste have the capacity, whether it's space in their yard or time or knowledge. So this drop-off composting program essentially makes composting achievable for any household that wishes to compost their food scraps. It will entail 2 drop-off locations, one at DPW and one here in City Hall, or in the parking lot, not in City Hall. And residents will be able to collect their household food waste in bins. The first 100 households to sign up for the program will actually get a free countertop bin specifically designed to collect food waste. And then they'll be able to, at their convenience, drive or walk their bin down to the drop-off locations at DPW and City Hall and drop off their food waste. This directly influences greenhouse gas emissions, notably methane, which are released when organic matter, including food, is brought to the landfill and decomposes. It releases methane gas, potent greenhouse gas. So this is a way for Eastpointe to directly decrease our emissions, as well as just bring to light the larger food waste issue. It's a big issue all over, but especially in the US. 30 to 40% of all food produced in the US every year goes to waste. So this is an opportunity, programs like these is an opportunity to do something productive with that waste, essentially. So yeah, I think that's about it. I will take any questions if anybody has any.
All right, any questions?
I have one, and maybe it's a dumb question, but you said the first 100 people that sign up, they get a countertop container. So is the understanding that they bring the container to the collection bin? Are they emptying into the bin and then taking the container back?
Yes.
That's how that works?
Yes, so they use the container, and if a household already has a bin that they would like to use for that, or if 101 person can use any bin they have, just whatever their preference is, and they can either line the bin with compostable materials such as paper or paper bag, or certified compostable plastic bag, and then just dump the whole thing into the bin, take their bin home, or they can use no liner and just put the food waste straight in there and rinse it out and wash it and everything. The bins are dishwasher safe, fun fact.
Okay, thank you. That was all I had.
All right, would you like to make a motion?
Maybe one quick, I don't have a question, but maybe one quick comment. I just want to say thank you for going forward to this, but also not only has she come to our meetings and, she got us $250,000 in grant money, as you heard earlier. She comes to our beautification meetings, commission meetings also, and so spends another weeknight just hanging out with all of us. So I just want to say thanks for coming. You talked about, I think we talked about this for a few minutes, and we talked about trees and other stuff. So just thank you for doing that also.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see, where did I? Okay. I will move that we approve the food compost program and approve the one-year contract with My Green Michigan, located at 5834 North Michigan Road, Diamonddale, Michigan, in the amount of $6,080 for the purchase of bins and weekly collection of food waste.
Second that.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
All right, item D, approval of award of contract for professional consulting services for master plan and economic development and placemaking strategy. Would anyone like to either open this up or make a motion?
Did city admin want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to it. As you know, we accepted bids to develop our master plan and economic development and placemaking strategy, and received bids from several companies ranging from $106,587 to $175,000. It was quite a range. That's before you, the various companies. And so taking a look and interviewing with these folks and getting an idea of what they can bring to the table and how they can help us with this, it was determined that The company we'd like to go with, we'd like to recommend is TMPA. And their bid is in the amount of $106,587. So just to give you a little history and the folks who are sitting out there, back on February 19th, 2024, council accepted the MISTA, which is Michigan State Housing Development Authority. They had a housing readiness incentive and a grant of $50,000 to go towards this. And then on July 16th of 2024, council accepted a SEMCOG grant in the amount of $32,740 that required a local match from us of $7,260. And so we went forward and we published a request for proposal. And so this company, not only were we impressed with them, but they were the most reasonably priced. And our financial impact on our end would be $16,587. So from the group that interviewed, and my recommendation is to award that contract to the professional consulting services for that master plan. I won't read the whole recommended motion because you'll want to read that. But we will have to contribute another $16,587 to go forward with this master plan.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Doom on that? Would anyone like to make a motion?
All right, sure. I'll motion to award the contract for professional consulting professional consulting services to prepare a new 2025 to 2045 master plan and an economic development and placemaking strategy to TPMA Incorporated to approve additional funding in the amount of $16,587 and further authorize the interim city manager to sign all necessary documents.
Second.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
All right, item E, discussion and possible motion on showmobile repair costs. Did anyone want to open this up with any comments?
I'm in favor of just replacing it. It's just, 35 years roughly, I think it was, of use, wear and tear. I've stepped on the showmobile. I think I would feel a little better with a newer one than replacing that one. So that's just kind of where I sit as I read through all of this. Because the one question that I had was, if we just do a patch job, are we going to be patching the whole thing eventually or other parts of it? So it may be the stairs today and the tires, and then will it be some other part of it? So I would just rather start fresh and, hopefully we get another 30 years or more out of a newer one. I don't know if anybody else on council agrees. But.
I mean, I agree with you. The cost of a new one, or the repair is 2/3 the cost of a new one. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to fix it up, I think. Any other comments?
I think Mr. Paolucci moved over to the microphone here maybe for a reason.
Oh, just if you had any questions. I do want to add that for the replacement costs, you're not comparing apples to apples, though. This is a great showmobile. We've invested a lot of money in it through the years. New suspension, new hydraulics, new tires. So I feel that these panels that we're asking for now are the last thing that it's going to need, besides maybe a floor in the next 10 years. So for this estimated cost of the replacement, you're not going to be getting the same showmobile. You'll be getting a showmobile that I kind of showed you in the pictures, something much downsized. But I can certainly start seeking out other prices for something equivalent.
Okay. That actually gives a different perspective.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes things a little different. I think I'd probably want to know what the price of something that's comparable would be.
Yeah, I would go a little closer to the 80 on that.
Okay.
Yeah, 80,000.
So if
Well, that makes a difference, yeah.
Because this one is 35 feet long by 15 feet wide, which is probably one of the largest showmobiles you're going to see, mobile showmobiles. I believe the one that I showed you for the 37 was 24 by 12, so substantially smaller.
So it sounds like, in your professional opinion, repair the one that we have just because everything, well, you said you've replaced the suspension, the tires, and so.
We have, and this is a great showmobile. It sits up higher than the one you saw in the pictures.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's the premier showmobile back in the day.
Okay.
They know it's no longer in production, but it was the sought-after one in its time.
Okay.
Now they just basically cut open a trailer, put a stage on it, and I think that we're going to just run into more problems if we go with the new option.
Okay, that gives a different perspective.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I might add, either one of those are in the budget. That's why we need to talk about the amendment.
See, I remember when at the park, they did music in the park, and I can't remember the name of the band. I don't want to call the wrong name, but they had I think a horn section, and they had to actually leave one member or had to opt for one less member. So then if you go smaller, then doing community projects or events like that could be, impacted.
Yeah.
So.
And that's quite common with every event we do. They have to leave somebody on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
you won't find a mobile showmobile larger than the one we own right now.
Okay, and that's, I didn't ask that question ahead of time, and I was thinking it was apples to apples, but.
Yeah, not apples to apples. And the new siding that we're looking to put on is basically aluminum, so it's going to last forever, unlike wood.
Okay. I do know a little bit about that aluminum too, so, yeah.
Did a little diligence.
We build an aluminum truck, so I know, so. So, okay, that changes my perspective. I think we should, I think it's better to go with the repair than new.
Maybe I got one more quick question. How, did we say how often we use it? We said like 8 times a year, I think I read somewhere.
Yeah, in my background brief, I mentioned 8 times a year and who utilizes it.
Yeah, okay, right here, yep.
I can name them off if you like. Gratiot Cruise, Memorial Day Parade, Park and the Concert, 2 other cities utilize it, and then a church in Eastpointe utilizes it.
And would it be, do we say yes to everybody, or would it be even more if
Well,
we were?
we don't say yes to everybody, no.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just, yeah, I mean, I think the more it is, obviously, the more even worth it is doing, and I think maybe increasing the fee, like you said, just pays for itself then too, so.
Yeah.
And that's really just to cover the cost of getting it there, setting it up, breaking it down, and getting it home.
Yeah. Okay.
So if anyone wants to donate to the Memorial Day Parade Committee, let me know.
Okay,
To cover
now,
this increased fee.
is that, oh, okay, and then the fee, you need that to be part of the motion as well? The increase, or is that more of an administrative business thing? Just for the repair, but not for the.
We can change till we adjust the fee schedule for that.
Okay, so I don't need to.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to motion
Okay,
the
okay.
price increase.
All right, well, I'll move that we go with option 1 to approve the repairs and in the amount of $19,244.36. You need any more than that? Okay.
I'll second that.
Did you mention a budget amendment in that? I know that the recommended motion suggested that too.
Yes, to approve the
Okay.
comparison budget amendment to cover the associated costs.
Gotcha. All right. All right. Please call the roll.
Where am I? Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. All right. Item F, receive and file the fire department monthly stats.
So moved.
I'll support that, and that's for January through March of 2025.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Item G, receive and file SMSD fiscal year 26 sewer rates.
So moved.
Support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Item H, receive and file information on fair housing resources.
Yeah, I'll move we receive and file the statement on Fair Housing Center of Metropolitan Detroit and the Macomb County Fair Housing Overview on 2 informational events.
A second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
All right, item I, approval of special event application, National Day of Prayer. Would anyone like to open up with a motion?
I'll move that we approve the special event application for the National Day of Prayer, set for May 1st, 2025, contingent upon the organizers providing proof of insurance, naming the city of Eastpointe as additionally insured in the amount of $1 million.
I'll second that.
All right, are there any comments on that? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
All right, item J, approval appointments to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
All right, I'll move that we reappoint Robert Roscoe with a new term from May 16th, 2025 to May 15th, 2028, and also Cliff Wilson as a reappointment for a new term from May 16th, 2025 to May 15th, 2028, and that we appoint Ed Williams with a term expiring May 15th, 2027. Also appoint Miranda Barconi with a term expiring May 15th, 2027, and that we appoint Robert Troutman with, we appoint him with a term expiring May 15th, 2026.
Second.
All right, any comments on that? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. All right, item K, approval appointment to the Parks Commission.
And Mr. Mayor, I'll motion we approve the appointment of Lori Novakoski to the Parks Commission with a term to expire October 15, 2027.
Support.
It's Lori. All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld.
Yes. Item L, discussion on city manager search. I guess, would anyone like to open up on this one?
Sure, I guess, Mr. Mayor, I added it to the agenda. I just wanted to make sure that we were agreeing as a council just to go forward with this and just making movement. I guess really just, I was essentially just expecting we'd do an RFP like we've done in the past, and the firms can propose certain services to help us with a city manager search, and we just go that way.
I agree with that.
Okay. Do you, is this for a search company? Okay, because I know there's like several options that we have. Okay, so do a search company versus MML or posting internally or through HR or however that goes?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think, MML, I think would, if they wanted to, they would just put in like any other company if we did the RFP,
Okay.
I think. And then, I guess could do more bare bones approaches if we really wanted to. I'd suggest a search. I don't know if, Ms. Doom, you have any suggestions on like what to, include in the RFP, or if like you wanted a decision from us on any of that, like if there was like, meeting with the public, with the finalists, that sort of thing, or any other things we'd specifically want to ask for?
If you decide to go with a firm, a recruitment firm, they will come forward and meet with you, discuss what you're looking for in your next manager. They'll set up any meetings, they'll review the resumes, they'll provide you with, well, they'll probably provide you with all the candidates, but they'll provide you with their top candidates based upon the criteria that you set forth. So, yes, as our other council member mentioned, you do have options. You have an HR department here, a full-time one, and we didn't have that in the past. We had an HR, like an assistant. So you do have an HR department that certainly, we accept resumes through the internet, and then they come into us, not the old paper resumes from the old days. And that's one way, certainly is very cost-effective for our HR department to facilitate this on your behalf. And then the other, of course, is to go out for an RFP, and I believe you're correct with the league will also kind of put forth their proposal, and that's the Michigan Municipal League. They're kind of our umbrella that we learn a lot about laws and whatnot, and they also have folks, they're usually retired city managers that will assist, and they'll do very much like a company will, and there's a lot of good companies out there. I've worked with several companies, several of the major companies, and they're not inexpensive. So, when you get those RFPs, you'll have to take a look whether you are, feel comfortable spending, could be anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 or $50,000, depending on the company. But you'll have that idea when you see that come in if you prefer to go the RFP route. But what is most important is to, once they need to know what you're looking for, and I'm sure that they'll prepare something for you. And they'll talk to you about what your expectations are in your next city manager. So it's really up to you which direction you'd all like to go. I think all of them have really positive aspects, and I think each one, whether it's in-house or whether you're using a firm, will do a good job for you.
I know my perspective, I'd prefer to do an RFP. I think in just bare bones, I know each company will probably offer different types of packages.
Levels of service, yeah.
And I think sometimes they might try to upsell us. I think we just need the basic promoting, putting together a posting, promoting it, background checks, and basically collecting all the data for us to go through. So I think we should go out for an RFP and then just take a look at what options are available.
Yeah, I was leaning a little more in-house this time, but that's just my preference, but I'm not gonna argue about it.
All right, who feels, you two, what do you think?
I'm good with the search, hiring a firm.
I mean, yeah, we can explore that.
Okay. I think the directions to, I guess,
An RFP out there, eh?
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll have to vote, though.
Sure.
A formal vote, and then we'll be able to go ahead and work on that.
Did I already make a motion?
Did we lose her?
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll move to direct administration to put an RFP out for city manager search services.
I'll second that.
All right, please call the roll.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
No.
All right, moving on to approval of resolution number 25-2002, charter amendments, city manager qualifications. Would anyone want to open up on this one?
Okay. I was reading over it, and I know that I believe, I agree that our charter needs some language change. But I did have a concern if we just make this municipal management experience versus someone who has experience as a city manager or an assistant. And I thought about it and mulled it over, and I know myself and Councilman DeMonico had even talked about it maybe once or twice. But, and maybe I would be looking for something a little more specific if we don't leave it as city manager experience or assistant city manager experience, just because I think what we can run into is you can have somebody who is in a management position, but that doesn't necessarily manage people or budgets or a city budget, you know. And so I think that some caution would have to be had to, you know, just, I don't want to just blanket it to say, okay, if you know, I could have been the management over, you know, waste removal, but I didn't, you know, I was a department of 1 or 2 or whatever. And that wouldn't qualify me to do the city manager job. And I think that's where my concern is. I'm like, I don't know if it's too ambiguous to me or if there's something missing in this description. And I just wouldn't want to, I think leaving it a little strict, a little strict is good, because I think it narrows the candidate pool that you can get. So that's kind of where my concern is with as it's presented right now. I do understand that you can have people that are not currently serving in that manager or assistant role, but they may have that manager or assistant experience. But I think if it's just somebody, like if it's somebody that's a department of 1, you know, we have that here at City Hall, and it's not to say that either of those persons could or couldn't do it, but I think the scope of their job is just different. And, you know, are we making it too open if we do it, or are we diminishing that requirement? I know the language says to go from 1 year experience to 2 years, and I really don't have a problem with that, but, you know, are we, I don't want to say setting ourselves up for failure. I don't want to use that terminology, but, you know, are we going to get the right candidate by lowering the type of experience or work experience that you have?
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Baker, I went back and forth on that a lot and did have a hard time at first coming up with some idea for what wording to use. And then I came across this in St. Clair Shores' charter. So this is actually the municipal management's the exact wording they use in their charter. And after thinking about it, it opens it up so we can at least consider, you know, I used the example before of Mark Hackle. Right now, you know, we can't even hire our county executives who've run a huge county for 15 years because he hasn't been a city manager, assistant city manager, or assistant, you know, village manager or city or village manager. So I thought that this at least opens it up, of course, with any candidate pool, even if someone was a manager, assistant manager, maybe someone we also don't want to hire after, you know, interviewing them. So definitely the council will have to, for sure, come up with the best finalists and interview and ask questions and make sure we're hiring the right people. But I thought after, looking at the St. Clair Shores charter, it seemed like it was good wording and they use it. So that's how I came to it, but it was difficult, I guess, to.
Yeah, and I understand that, and like just since you used the example of Mark Hackle, I think that this is a guy who deals with his work scope is more than just, you know, my work scope as, you know, garbage man manager or whatever it is. waste removal manager. And so that's kind of where I think that conflict came in for me, because clearly, I'm sure if he listed his duties on paper, I'm sure he's qualified. But, me, if I say, hey, my job was to make sure that garbage can was empty every day, and my title is manager, my duties on paper. I mean, and ultimately, like you said, I do understand that we have to make the right decision, but I guess the other thing that I'm kind of thinking about too is that this is a charter change, and so this is something that will impact, future councils, of course. And it's not to say that future councils wouldn't exercise the same discretion, but would they? And so that's kind of where my conflict is. And I think I would just feel a little better if we stuck with this terminology. I think I would feel a little bit better if the job description at least implied the equivalent level of experience for that role. And it might be splitting hairs a little bit, but I would feel a little better about it. Because it's a big job, we know. So that's all I have on that.
Well, I guess my question would be, are you concerned about, I think the goal of the change, because we've had several city manager searches over the past several years, is that the language we have is precluding candidates that we want to take a look at. I mean, changing this, I think, just sort of opens the door to consider other qualified candidates. I don't think it would deter qualified. I guess I'm not sure what the concern is.
Because this actually lowers the qualifications. It's really what it does. It just says municipal management, but I made up a title because I don't want to call out a specific management position and to sound like I'm being disparaging of that position or talking down about it. But if I'm a department of one, I am technically managing a department of myself. And yes, that allows for other candidates, but I also don't want to give the impression that, let's say, for instance, we have a community engagement manager. Would she, by definition, would be able to apply for this? Would she be qualified to do this? And it's not to say that my opinion is yes or no, it's just for an example, for demonstrative purposes. She is technically a department of one. And so also, the wording that it may hinder us from being able to, and I'm paraphrasing you, but that it may hinder us from being able to interview candidates that we want. I'm cautious about that wording, and I'm just a stickler just because then that sounds like, okay, my friend, he's a manager, department of one. I want to interview him. There's no crime in me letting him know that there's a job posting because it's public. But I also don't want to be accused of trying to get my buddy a job because I know he's a department of one and he technically meets that qualification. And just say he's not only my buddy, but, you know, 3 or 4 of us up here know him and we choose him, or him or her, I'm just careful how I say that. And I don't want to sit up here and say, yes, I want to have other candidates that I want to interview, though it may not mean the way that I'm describing or whatever. I think it can give that perception. And that's where my caution comes in. So
I guess I just don't see it the same way. I mean, you've set a couple of times that this is lowering the qualifications. I don't think it's opening up to less qualified applicants. I think it's adjusting the I guess, requirements. I don't think that this opens it up for less qualified individuals. I think the stringent requirement that it must be a city manager of a city or a village has really made it difficult for us to attract candidates because we just have this sort of antiquated charter provision that just prohibits us from looking at good candidates because city managers are they're sparse in Michigan. We've seen cities all over Michigan have this issue where there's not enough here, and if you have a charter that requires that you need someone who's been a manager here to become a manager, it precludes a lot of candidates from getting into the field. So I think this has come up every couple of years because of the city manager searches. I don't think it'll affect our search. But you did mention it's a charter amendment, so I think it would be fair to just put it on the ballot for people to vote on it. Ultimately, I'm always concerned about what future councils could do. But, I think this being a charter provision really should be out of our hands. So I think at this point, it makes sense to at least put it in front of people to say, hey, can you take a look at this? So,
I get it. And the reason why I said it lowers the requirements because it means that you can actually have served as less than a city manager or an assistant city manager. So that's specifically what it'll do. But ultimately it comes to the vote of a council. So, however it turns out is how it turns out.
yeah. Ms. Doom, did you have?
Yeah, I'm a city manager. I'm going to jump in. Mr. Baker has some really good concerns, and I understand them. I've seen this before where it's been rather vague and people who don't have any background, have been hired, and it's usually with disastrous results. But then on the other hand, I have been a township manager. If I had come here as a township manager, I couldn't have been considered. I've been a borough manager, and the terminology is from another state. It's the equivalent of a county manager. If I had come here with that to interview as a county manager, because your charter is very, very rigid. And most communities don't have charter language that is that rigid. Really it should be, it kind of open it a little bit to whether it's a village manager, and you don't want to put all that in there because depending on what state you're coming from, we have all different terminology. So a village manager is automatically ruled out, a township manager is a borough, a county manager, those are all ruled out. I think really just because at the time they thought the charter was going to be very specific and it was going to be helpful. But I'd like to just throw out something, a little food for thought for everyone here on this council, because this is what I've been doing for quite a long time, is it's not so much the management experience, it's perhaps so many years of management experience to be considered. Because that's one thing, when we put that RFP out there and we get back our bids, that's the first thing they're going to ask. They're going to put that in their ad for a manager, is they're going to have to take what either the voters have decided on or with this council, what they're trying to do, and they have to put that in their brochure. And it always says in a brochure, depending on what the size of the city or what they're looking for, it may say 2 years experience. It may say, and there's some that I have worked in, it's a minimum 10 years experience, or sometimes it's the size of the community. It has to be a person who's worked in communities over 50,000 or 100,000. They often become very specific, but our charter in itself is limiting. So I applaud all of you for thinking out of the box and trying to make this charter amendment to bring it to you, the voters, because you have to vote on this. Council can't do this. They can just bring you the language and you, the voters, have to vote on it, just to make sure that you're comfortable voting and knowing that what the council, what your goal is to get people perhaps with different titles or come to you with different backgrounds, but still have experience. And I would hope that, you would take a good, well, I know you will. I don't have to hope. I know you will take a good look at those resumes and work with the company, whichever company you hire, to get your best candidates. And they'll recommend for you, what it is you're looking for. So you're going to say, you're going to say, this is what we're looking for. And you're going to not be so concerned about, was it an assistant city manager or was it a city manager? But to look at the overall qualifications that they bring with them wherever they're from. And then, hope for the absolute best that you'll all make the right decisions. But I certainly can understand Councilmember Baker's concern that, a lot of unqualified people can apply. And boy, have they ever. We've done this in-house. And we've taken in resumes and people see manager and they're like, well, I was the manager of McDonald's. It's the same thing, right? I was a manager of a restaurant. I mean, I've gotten a lot of resumes that have come through like that don't really understand what a city manager is or what the needs are. So that'll be up to the company that you pick. They'll kind of go through that and they'll give guidance to the council members, but they're also gonna have to know what our qualifications are, what our requirements are, and that will come through the voters. But they can certainly start. And so I applaud the council for recognizing it's time for a change in the language, because to go forward is very important. And yes, there are not that many of us anymore. The reality is we're older and younger people are not coming into government. They're not coming into city management. They're going in different fields. And me, now that I'm retired, I can't tell you how many phone calls I've had for interim services because people are losing their city managers left and right. They're either retiring, they're leaving the business completely, or they're going somewhere else. So who would have thunk it? That as a retiree, I think my phone rings more now for assessing communities that are looking for their next manager. So I know it's kind of lengthy, but I do have a lot of experience in this. So I see where you're all going, and I think you're going in the right direction. I definitely know you need to go in the right direction. So that's enough of my soapbox. I'm done.
Well, and you touched on some points, like when I said that there was language that I agreed that needed to be changed. I agree it is restrictive because of, depending on where you come from, how they reference the title, so.
Councilman Baker, did you have proposed language?
No, not right on hand, because like that was one that I've literally been mulling it over, and so I wouldn't be able to do that like right on the spot at this moment, because I think it requires a lot more thought than just the weekend that I would have given it, but.
So I would say like, right now, I guess we could in theory do what you're saying also. There's villages in the state that have a population of 100. We literally have more than 100 employees. So I don't think the person, running their village of 100 people maybe necessarily translates to Eastpointe either. So even with the language right now, we could, hire village manager of a village of 100.
Well, if I may, I'm sorry to jump in, but I've been at this a long time. If you go to states like Illinois, villages are not villages like we know them. They can be 100,000 people. Depends on the state. We look at a village as a small, little, tiny place. I live in a township myself, and I have 3 villages in my township, and we provide the government services for all 3 villages. They don't even have their own councils or anything. But then you go out of state and suddenly a village means a totally different thing, which was a real surprise to me when, back in the days when I was job hunting, to find out that this village outside of Chicago wasn't the kind of village we thought it was. It was a, highly populated area. So, but that's a decision you and the recruiter will work on as far as qualifications, population, what it is you need. So I think you're all on the right track. It's just kind of getting that wording to just where you'd like it to be. And then it has to go on the ballot, of course. As I said before, you, the voter, will decide, if you want that change and if that language if you all feel comfortable with it.
And I would say this too, I mean, we're having a conversation over this one, essentially one line with the language in the charter, but the charter still would remain saying that council chooses a city manager solely on the basis of their executive and administrative qualifications. I think that's the more guiding principle of how a manager should be chosen and must be chosen by council. It's just whether or not the wording should be municipal management or city manager for previous experience. But I'm comfortable with the language as is. Is the next step that we just send this off to the, if we approve it?
Mayor, if the resolution is passed tonight, my office then will send a copy to the Attorney General's office. George Elworth is the Assistant AG that will review it. I did speak with Mr. Elworth last week to let him know that this may be coming, and I was surprised to learn that Mr. Elworth has been with the AG's office for going on almost 50 years. So he's been there a long time.
I understand the points, like you guys said. You know, I don't ever feel bad if I'm hung up on one spot of wording. One weak link can break a chain. So just because it's one little spot doesn't mean that it can't have, and I'm not saying that I think that this will, but doesn't mean that it can't have great impact, be it positive or negative. One thing can be the difference one way or the other. So that's where if something doesn't sit right with me, or if it's a concern, I will address the one thing that is a concern to me. And I think that's being fair, and I think it's being fair for what we're looking for, you know, just to have that dialogue. So.
Do you know what the timeline is for when that would have to be submitted to the AG for November?
I think they like to have it over there by June, so if the council wanted to consider this further, there is time to do that.
Councilman Baker, because I'm happy with the language as was proposed, but I mean, if you want another meeting to think about language, or maybe there's another proposal or something, I mean, I'm fine with that.
I mean, if you guys are all fine with the language as was proposed, I'd just be wasting time waiting for another meeting. I mean, it's really just about what the majority of us think currently.
Well, no, if you have other alternative language or something, I'm not married to this language. I know something has to be corrected, but if you think you have a better.
I don't want to word it like that I have something better, but.
I mean, do you want?
I would potentially feel. I mean, maybe we can give it at least another meeting. I'll just think about it. If I come up with nothing, I have nothing. But yeah.
I mean, you only had the one weekend to even go through it, so I'm fine with that.
Did have maybe one question or something to consider, not about that part of it, but about the question on the ballot. It's just very long. So I'm wondering, is there a way that we can shorten it up? I guess I'm looking first at, we did cross out the residency requirement because we're not allowed to have that anymore, right, according to state law. And then we've changed it so that instead of it saying he, you know, it's not just male pronouns. Since the rest of the charter is going to have, you know, he everywhere, it's something we'd kind of have to address in full throughout the whole charter at some point. Does it maybe make more sense, and this is probably more of a, actually maybe more of a council question than like legal question. If we didn't do some of that, we could shorten up the question too, so it's not so lengthy and be more straightforward. I didn't know if anyone wanted to do that, because it's like, you know, it's 5 lines long to basically change like one sentence. So I don't know if anybody wanted to consider that. I think I'm like 50-50 on it, as is maybe is fine, but I just, you know, obviously if we're gonna put it forward, we'd hope it, you know, pass, I guess, yeah.
Sound like there's a few things to think about. And I think actually in fairness too, I'd be interested in hearing what Councilman Curley thought about it. I mean, it's a big change, or, you know, at least that's how I see it. So I don't think it's anything wrong with maybe tabling it for another meeting, or I don't know if Councilman Curley would need more than one meeting to think about it, but maybe a meeting or two. I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
I know in years past, I know we were coming up on a deadline because we had a charter amendment resolution. We sent it to Lansing. The AG's office had some recommended changes, sent it back to us, and the council simply scheduled a special meeting in order to get the resolution passed. So I'm not concerned about any deadlines being passed or not getting it to the AG's office in time.
I mean, and realistically, it's not even that important to be on in November, so.
Yeah, especially if our search will be done before then, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have anything further. Go ahead.
Well, why don't we, yeah, so Councilman Curley gets a chance to, we could just motion to table it to the next meeting, and if, you know, if he'd like more time than that, we can always, of course, table it further if we really needed to. So I'd just motion to table this then to the next meeting.
I'll support that.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Payroll and bills. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we pay the bills in the amount of $7,295,753.35.
Second.
All right. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
All right, second hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone wish to be heard?
Good evening, my name is Dan Zander from Eastpointe. I just wanted to let everybody to have just be careful when you go back, when we get out here in this wonderful city of Eastpointe. They're still working on the construction, and they're doing pretty good, so that if you can, be safe going home and with your family. I wish everybody a happy, wonderful Easter, because celebrating Good Friday is very important, and celebrating for Easter is very important for families, and hope everything goes well also. So God bless you, and happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Council, Mayor, I just want to have a little bit more clarity and understanding on the city manager's position being filled, because the manager Elke mentioned about it's going to determine on the voters. That's where I guess I got kind of lost there, because I haven't been aware of, noticed that before, even with the previous city manager, Mariah. I don't remember that being on the ballot. Is it under a certain title of some sort, whatever, where actually the residents and the citizens have a sole say in it? Because my past experience has been that it always was a decision made by the council, and whatever they did, that was it. So if you could just give me some more clarity and address that, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Mayor, I did confirm with the gentleman that attempted to appear remotely during the first hearing of the public that he will do so at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
John Solera, Kelly Road. I'm totally against the scrapping idea of the food scraps, whatever. I'm really tired of the climate change agenda, and, you know, let's prevent garbage when we have garbage coming over the Canadian border every day, going to our landfills. Well, it's really a dumb thing. As far as the charter change, I am actually in favor of eliminating the city manager, going back to a paid mayor with proper pay. This government is too layered, it's too fat, it needs audited. Our present city manager, and this is no knock on her, because someone offers you $175,000 a year, you take it. But that's what a congressman makes. And I get she doesn't get benefits. So I'd like to see a full-time mayor and council reduced from 5 to 3. Because this government is not responsive at all. Regarding the tree thing, I am trying to, Mr. DeMonico wants people to plant trees. I'm trying to get the city to take my tree out. I've got probably a 60-year-old tree that's falling apart, and I can't get them to take it out because we got these tree nuts, I guess. I don't know. I don't want the dang thing. Take it. You know, you can give 10 other people a tree to make up for me. I don't really care. But the woke idea of the food scraps is just like really dumb, especially if it goes on to the water bill, which we've had a 6% increase last year. I've heard we're having a 3% increase this year. So the Mike Kleinfeld water bill inflation is taking its toll. Nothing should go on people's water bills, experimental or whatever, granted or not granted. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. I was trying to not go to sleep because I wanted to wish you all a very safe, enjoyable weekend with family and friends, and to say that I'm thankful that I'm as cheap as I am when it comes to spending money. And I hope that at somewhere along the line, you would develop a bit of that same mentality. Get what we need and forget what we want. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Jennifer Nicholas, Eastpointe resident. I have a quick question. It's probably going to take me a minute to get to it, but regarding recreational marijuana again. And I've asked this question at the last 2 meetings and I have not gotten a response, so maybe third time will be the charm. Back in March of 2024, Councilwoman Pashadlik introduced the idea of recreational marijuana in Eastpointe. April 2nd, at that council meeting, Councilwoman Pashadlik said the issue of recreational marijuana was requested at the council table by myself. If somebody has a problem with it, feel free to contact me. My contact information is all over the city. Okay, so I'm here, I'm contacting you. This is the third time I'm asking this. We had 3 attorneys that came here and they asked to have hours extended until 10 p.m. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and 11 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Councilwoman Pashadlik decided to change the motion and make it so these establishments can be open until 10 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and open until midnight Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have asked repeatedly why. No other city around us stays open that late. Detroit, Royal Oak, Utica, Berkeley, Harper Woods stay open till 10 p.m. Roseville, Centerline, New Baltimore, Hazel Park, Ferndale, Mount Clemens stay open till 9 p.m. Why would we stay open 2 to 3 hours later than any other business? This past weekend, I was on the other side of the city and ended up taking 8 Mile home from Greenfield to Gratiot, which is Really interesting, on a Saturday night at about 9:45, there's a lot of marijuana facilities on 8 Mile. Parking lots are full at 9:45 when they are closing at 10 o'clock. Coming down Gratiot from 8 Mile to 10 Mile, nothing is open on Gratiot. Buscemi's is open, McGee's is open. There's another bar there that's open. None of our restaurants are open that past 10 o'clock. Cloverleaf was completely dark at almost 10 o'clock. Why would we be wanting people to come to Eastpointe between 10 p.m. and midnight 4
You have
days
30
a week,
seconds.
4 nights a week? What is the purpose of it? And I'm asking you face to face here, can you please explain to me why you would want to change the hours to midnight 4 nights a week when the marijuana facilities did not even ask for that? I would really appreciate an answer on that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
Good evening. My name is Ken Thomas. I'm an Eastpointe resident. I've been here for about 3 years now. I also work here as well at the Community Choice Credit Union. And I really just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I really do appreciate it. I like Eastpointe so far. So far, so good. A couple of hiccups. I'm just kind of rolling with the punches, so to speak. I've learned a lot just being here tonight. It's my first city council meeting here in Eastpointe as a resident. So I'm getting to hear a lot of my neighbors and some of my maybe colleagues, however, who works in the area as well too, is with their concerns that they have here. I didn't really have anything prepared. Like I said, this was my first city council meeting that I've actually ever attended, period. So I'm just really taking this in as a learning experience. Just wanted to really see how things work and see how things operate here. And perhaps maybe the next time when I do attend, I will be much more prepared with questions, comments, and or concerns. But otherwise, I really just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm happy to be here in Eastpointe. I like what's going on as far as with the roads, even though it is a little bit inconvenient. However, I'm pretty sure there's, silver lining at the end of it, at the end of the day. I'm not really sure exactly what the plan is. However, like I said, I'm rolling with the punches. And again, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciate everyone for their comments and expressing their concerns, because I have a few of those concerns myself. And again, I'll be much more prepared for our next meeting. And enjoy your holiday.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is closed. We'll move on to mayor and council reports. Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Let's see, first, I guess let's start with some good news again. Congrats, Rui, for getting that $250,000 grant for the city and for starting the compost program and all the stuff you do with the Beautification Commission too. Appreciate you coming out. And to all the tennis people, I think, are long gone, it looks like. But thanks to you also for coming out and talking about the parks, and you're clearly all passionate about what you do, and yeah, hopefully we can make something good happen there. Let's see, try to address a few things here. For the city manager search, real quick, Mr. Edwards, it was, I guess, kind of confusing because it was back-to-back talking about the search, and then we were talking about the charter change. What's going on the ballot is just the change to the charter language about who we can hire, not about the actual specific person that we're hiring. So it'll be on the ballot to potentially change the language in the charter, not to hire specifically like Elke or Mariah or something like that. So be happy to clarify further after if you had additional questions. A few other things like the city government, that's part of the charter also that was brought up. The charter says that we have 5 city council members, including a mayor, and at a previous meeting mentioned that financially the city council and legislative branch is a very, very small portion of the budget. Then we hire a professional manager. There are pros and cons to hiring the mayor and having a full-time mayor. Our neighboring city, Warren, does that. You can potentially well, I would say usually you probably do elect someone that does not have like a master's in public administration or something like that. It's going to be who's elected, and they're maybe not necessarily a professional in city management, and then they're probably basically hiring someone to help them with that also, and you have someone that's hired anyway to help. So there's pros and cons to it. It's nice to elect all of your branches of government because it's closest to the people, but there's pros and cons. We do the city manager form of government here. Let's see, the session with Congressman Fred Upton and Congressman Dan Kildee was with the Michigan Municipal League. It was training. The Michigan Municipal League was brought up earlier. It's a statewide group of all the municipalities. Well, I shouldn't say all the municipalities. Whoever chooses to be part of the group and does training with them and pays their dues. That is who did that session. I took part in it. We do have a training budget for the city council, and that did pay for this training. I think it is fantastic training. You learn a lot, and you meet a lot of other officials around the state, and that's where you get ideas, because of course, there's 5 of us up here, but the 5 of us also can't come up with every idea that there is out there. So it's nice to talk to plenty of other people in a similar position in a different community. And that's, I think, how we try to share that and come up with ideas. And that's why I was sharing that session at that conference. Also, the urban seed has existed before anyone on this council right now was on council. So there were mentions about, mentioned about, I don't know, just it's been around longer than we've been up here. If you haven't been to it, it's on 9 Mile. They do have community gardens and gardens you can rent from them to plant things if you'd like. So check them out if you do have a minute. Ms. Nicholas, I'm fine with the hours on the recreational marijuana. I guess I don't know if I have other comments other than that. And then a couple quick events. April 26th, please come out. We're going to do a litter cleanup. No special skills needed. We'll be picking up litter at meeting at 8 in Gratiot. You'll see a bunch of cars parked. Just find us on April 26th, 10 a.m. We usually do about an hour and a half picking up. Then County Commissioner Sarah Lucido is going to buy pizza for everybody. So come on up, you'll get some free pizza, and we'll be picking up litter. I think, what did the flyer say? We got to beat last year of like 30 volunteers and like 40-something bags of garbage. So come out and help us do that. It's just a couple hours, and it makes quite the difference. So please come out. And then the Memorial Day Parade next committee meeting is Monday, April 28th at 6:30 at the Military Museum. There'll probably just be 2 more meetings before Memorial Day hits, so come on out. If you've got ideas for us, if you know somebody that's willing to donate, let us know. If you know someone that's willing to participate, businesses can participate, groups in the community, just let us know. Churches, we're open to most people, participating in the parade. We try to get as many people as possible. That's all I think, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councilwoman Fischadlik.
I'd also like to thank Rui for all her hard work and efforts. It's amazing work that you've done for our community, and I do appreciate all of your help and the grants and everything that you've done for us. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank the commissioner members that we've reappointed and that are new. Thank you and welcome to our commissions and boards. We appreciate your service. We definitely need the help. I'd also like to piggyback on the spring cleanup. It's a worthwhile effort, and many hands do make light work. So the more the merrier. They have the bags for us. They have these little clippers that you can pick up the garbage with, so you don't have to like bend over and pick up all the trash. So it makes it a lot easier, just so people, with like mobility issues or whatever like that, you still can help out even, doing the trash because you have the hand things. So it's pretty easy. Oh yeah, I do. So, that's part of it too, but we definitely appreciate the help, and you'd be surprised how much trash you can get. And there were some interesting trash too last time, so, you know.
Oh, yeah, sometimes we play that game, most
Yeah.
interesting piece
Yeah.
of garbage you find.
I don't remember, was it Rich that had the toothbrush or something? There was random strange things, so, yeah, so we even had our little own competition. And that's all I have today.
All right, Councilman Baker.
Thank you. Well, Rui, congrats. Job well done, all that good stuff. As a guy who tries to grow a food garden and flowers as well yearly, I have used some compost and, I'm still working on some of the things that I need to perfect, but, I do understand the benefits that it can have, having good soil to plant things in. That's all I got.
All right. I'll echo some of those comments. Thank you so much for all that work. I was really excited when Kim texted me, hey, I need a quote for $250,000 that we got. So that made my morning. I will leave it with that. Thank you to everyone for coming out, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Shadlick?
Yes.
Mayor Kleinfeld?
Yes. Meeting adjourned at 9:07.